How do you use one of these? Hi. Hello.
Oh, wow.
Pressure.
Pressure.
Professor in modern university.
I know.
Yeah, can we get questions from internet audience?
Is there someone on like the Instagram live? Like, see if people ask
Yeah, we'll do it in a segment where we're just totally quiet and just answer stuff. And they can edit it together, you know?
Yeah.
This is a film school. It's all about- You feel like you just directed a movie?
Something like that, yeah. Yeah, because of the chairs, I don't know.
You got that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
great
Yeah, we're just the actors.
Hey guys, know that the biggest audience that you're going to get right now is all those students that are online. So we got like everyone's like that's why I'm trying to start everybody on time.
Cool.
Because we've got to like you know they're waiting and when we start late they're like where are you guys? So just know that the majority of your audience is online.
Okay.
Wow.
So yeah, so you know hopefully you know they'll sometimes they'll tweet their questions and sometimes they won't. They're just listening. So thanks for doing this, guys. Appreciate it. Okay.
And we'd love for you all to kind of get in close, because when we do ask for questions, because you all don't have mics, we need to shout out really loud your questions. So we want to be as close as possible to one of our mics.
Plus, they'll make it feel more like we're just hanging out and talking, which will make it better for all of us.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we want it to be.
Yes.
Yeah, come on closer. It'll be worth it.
Come on down.
Come on down.
The main event is starting in the Big Ten.
Exactly. Oh, guess you're waiting second class.
No, they give me some.
Guess how many jelly beans
No,
you
no
had
pressure,
today.
no pressure.
Progressive ones,
What
you
was
know?
the name of the band again?
The one I have? Loud Luxury.
Loud Luxury.
Yeah. Don't mention them not wanting to give you flack.
No, I won't.
Are we online already?
Even though there isn't obviously a huge crowd in the theater, we have watching on live stream.
Yeah, they're saying it's online students.
Awesome. Online students, alumni, so we got 13,000 people who are
I'll try to imagine all of them virtually.
Yeah, virtually, yeah.
Did I tell you
Right here.
like, oh, you have a question? You in the back of the internet?
You could reach that's the one I asked you. It's like, oh, which one are we talking about? But that one.
Test.
I think it just takes a second. Maybe keep it on.
No, that's really bad.
See something really
The one.
I'm going to do a basic introduction with highlights, but then I'm going to ask you all.
No, we should talk about later. Yeah, about all the credits you put up.
Because, yeah, cursing or something.
But I mean, for this, I want to ask you all first.
And actually, it happens a lot.
Sure.
Yeah, and it also.
No, don't.
And I'll miss
That is
myself.
good.
That's really
Yeah.
funny job.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You sound good.
I'm tired.
Are you gonna drive back home today? Okay, cool. Oh, yay! Thank you.
How are we doing? Are we ready? Okay.
Dude.
So, hello, Los Angeles Film School. Hello, Los Angeles Recording School. Hello to all the people online that are watching us, all the people that are watching the stream. Welcome. It's been a very, very special day for the LA Recording School, Film School. It's going to be a very great week, and it's a very great year because we're celebrating our 20th year anniversary, and this is one of one of the events that I've really been looking forward to. My name is Joe Byron. I have the distinct pleasure and honor of having taught the very first class at the Los Angeles Film School back in September of 1999. And it's something that I'm really proud of. The 20 years that I've spent here at the Los Angeles Film School has been very, very special to me. And it's been special to me because of all the students that I've met. You know, creative people are very special. They're crazy as hell. But, you know, they beat to a different drummer. They operate on a different wavelength. And it's so, so great to meet people that have the vision, that have the work ethic, that have the creativity of the people that I've met over the years here. And there have been a lot of them. We today did a couple of presentations of our IAA certifications, gold and platinum. And we have a panel up here that's really, really impressive. Everyone up here has gold or platinum records, which they've either produced or engineered. And many up here also have won Grammys or worked with Grammy nominees or Grammy winners as well. So it's really impressive, and I'm really proud to have them. And another interesting thing about our panel here is the fact that it's all international. We have a panelist from Brazil, we have a panelist from Canada, from Israel, and from Colombia. How great is that, okay? We don't have any women here, but next year we want the women to come out, okay? So let me introduce the panel. To my immediate left here is Enrique Andrade. Sorry. He is a recording engineer and producer. He worked with Zayn, Juanes, Justin Bieber, and many, many more. Immediately to his left is Nick Hernandez, not to be confused with this.
Enriquez,
not to
okay.
be confused with this Enriquez. Nick is from our music production program. And it's, to my knowledge, he is the first music production student, which is a relatively new program for us, to get a certification. And also, since he graduated only 2 years ago, he's gotten that certification faster than anyone in my memory can remember. My memory's not great, but 2 years to get a gold record is pretty amazing. Okay. To his left is Daniel Zidan. Daniel graduated around 2009.
Yeah.
And he's an engineer. He specializes in voice engineering. He's worked with amazing people: Fifth Harmony, Iggy Azalea, Ruth Ora, Nicki Minaj, Lady Gaga. He's got over 30 certifications. I don't know the exact number.
Me neither.
He doesn't either. And immediately to his right, his left, is Andreas Borda-Zavala. Andreas has 5 Grammy wins, right?
Yes.
5 Grammy wins, 4 Latin Grammys, and 1 American Grammy. And one of those Grammys, by the way, was for Best Engineered Album. He'd worked with Vivas. And he is also one of our Spotlight inductees, so we're gonna spend some more time with him later on in the week.
Thank you, Joe.
So what I'd like to do is start, because I kind of just highlighted, I did a little bit of name dropping. I want to kind of go down the list. We'll start with Enrique. And tell us when you first went to school here, what you studied, maybe elaborate a little more on some of the credits you have, and some of the work that you've done, okay?
I came to school in 2010. I did the certification of the recording program. It's I think it's a program that the school doesn't have anymore, but it was a hands-on pretty much program back in the day. Then from there, I got a job from the school. Like the school connected me to Record Plant, which is one of the best studios in the world still. And I got the chance to start as a runner, and then became an assistant, and then got to start engineering. And during this whole journey, came across a lot of amazing people. Got to assist Daniel and
I got to assist you too, Larry.
yeah, there was some fun stuff. And I think my first session was Jon Bon Jovi and Avicii. That was my first engineering session at Record Plant. And from there, it's really crazy, like really forget the amount of people that we get to work with. It becomes normal, kind of like, but yeah, I have the chance to work with a bunch of like amazing artists and in amazing projects. One is also got Grammys and #1 songs like with Bieber that was then replaced by Zayn, and then it's insane to be a part of #1, 2, 3 of the top 100 Billboard here and there, and I think that's kind of it.
That's a lot of it.
That's a lot of it, yeah.
Nick, talk about your quick journey.
Well, yeah. I started school here in 2015 in the music production program, and I felt like I got here the first day and it was kind of over in the blink of an eye, and I didn't take it in as much as I should have. But although I do only have the one certification for body, there's a lot of work that I've been proud to be a part of, and super happy with how I've kind of shaped my life since coming to school here, and how I've learned to develop myself and learned to find shortcomings in myself and improve on them because of what the school taught me. And yeah.
You had said you started working on Body while you were still a student, right?
Yeah, the song was started while I was at school here, and between, after classes I would go to the Loud Luxury guy's house that was just up the street from here before, and we would just make songs every day. We've done countless pieces of work together, and Body was just one of those songs. No one ever really thought it was going to ever leave our home studio, and now it did. And it changed all of our lives for the better. Yeah.
All right, Daniel, you've got a lot of stories to tell, I know.
Hello? Yeah. So, let's see. So I got here in 2009. I came to this school because an engineer who recorded an album I really liked, I just contacted him on MySpace. It's that long ago. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know, man, he's Japanese. He's like, I just moved to LA and went to the recording workshop, which was then the recording school at this point. And then I went to a bunch of shows, and everything was cool. And I ran a studio back in Israel, and I was like, enough of this. So we shut down the studio, and 2 weeks later, I was like trying my luck in LA. And and then school plus being a waiter and stuff, and got married and all sorts of stuff, and interned at a bunch of studios. But they were all terrible, and I kept feeling like it's a waste of time, and this whole idea was maybe a waste of time. And then I found an internship at Capitol Studios, and that was different. And actually, I couldn't legally get the internship. So the school agreed to, because I already finished the school, so the school was cool, and they agreed to make me like a student for another 2 weeks so I can get the internship at Capitol legally. And then I did that and get Capitol, and then my green card came through, and ended up moving to Record Plant, which is also about a month before Enrique, which is why when he showed up, he was like, oh, this guy's been here forever. But I was the new guy until he showed up. And then similar story. We were at Record Plant. I was a runner. It was okay. You clean a lot of puke. It's not the best job. But you meet a lot of cool people, and if these people like you, they'll maybe give you jobs later. So that was cool. And then I was still a runner, but it was Christmas, and the whole staff was with their families and stuff. But I'm like immigrant and Jewish, and just don't care particularly. So I just stayed behind, and then will.i.am showed up, and he was like, I need a session. They're like, we don't have any assistants. And I was like, hi, I know I'm just the janitor, but can I be in the room? And he said yes, and it turned into a 6-month-long session, and then that's kind of how I started. Yeah, my first engineering gigs were with will.i.am, actually, in the States at least. Well, first one was LL Cool J. And he was really nice. And he didn't want to, I was like, I'm making a song and it's going to be on the radio tomorrow. And then we finished it and I asked him like, yo, so you're giving it like, you know, to the radio? And he was like, no, I'm just going to listen to it in my car. And that was the end of that. Anyway, that's my story.
Daniel, drop us some names because you've
Oh.
worked recently with some
Yeah.
very well-known people.
I thought it's just, okay, yeah, I guess that's just the beginning story. Okay, so then I stayed with Record Plant for a long time, and then Esther Dean offered me a job with her, being her permanent engineer, and I took it, and then I quit 3 days in, and then I was just kind of floating around. And then Record Plant were cool, and they started like throwing gigs my way, and that's how I met like Elton John and Bruce Springsteen and I don't know, Jennifer Hudson and Lady Gaga and all sorts of stuff like that. And then I got picked up by Rihanna's vocal producer, Kook, because his engineer, Josh, was super dope. He switched to mixing and kind of switched to just being with Bieber, so like the job was open. So he took me around. And then with Kook, we did Katy Perry and Pentatonics and a bunch of Britney Spears stuff, a bunch of that kind of stuff. And that's how I learned like the vocal stuff. And ever since then, I'm just doing my vocal thing. Oh yeah, and never mind. Yeah, that's good enough.
That was some of the best name dropping I've heard in a long time.
You literally asked.
There's even more. Andreas.
Perfect. Well, I was in Lars. I graduated on 2011, I think. Yeah. I was coming from Mexico at the time, but I'm from Colombia, and I finished all the program in Lars. And after that, I applied to the OPT for the international students. And I was trying to find like an internship, like in Record Plant or Ocean Way and all that stuff. But it was complicated, actually. And I did that like 6 months before finishing the program. And it was hard. And at the end, I didn't get all of that. But after doing a lot of network, I met people in the Latin American industry here in LA. And one person that is called Rene opened the doors for me at the end of the day. And he told me, like, at the end of the day, I cannot pay you, but I can give you the place of assistant right away. So at the end, I pretty much worked 1 year without paying and just learning about everything in the studio, administrating, knowing the clients, trying to understand how to run the patch, microphones, all that stuff. And the OPT finished, and well, pretty much my time was finishing here in LA. So I moved to Mexico, and I started open doors, and finally I got the placement of assistant in Sony Music Studios in Mexico. And doing that, I started working with all the Latin Mexican artists in the industry, and it was just pretty much assisting until I was engineering some of the albums, some of the singles. And after that, I started to working with Natalia Lafourcade in Mexico. And pretty much 2 years later on, they told me that she was nominated for the Latin Grammys. And I thought it was going to be one or just one, and we pretty much won 3. So it was like a big surprise. And after that, I wanted to do more, but in the studio was a little bit complicated. So I ended up doing freelance and working in post, Disney, live sound, all that stuff in freelance. And yeah, after that, I wanted to take a change of country, and I moved to Colombia to start opening doors in the music industry. And it was pretty much just everything planned. It just happened. I ended up in Bogota, and 1 month later, Carlos Vives, he built the studio like 1 year and a half before. And when I got there, they told me that they were looking for an engineer in the studio, so I just presented the curriculum. And 3 weeks after I got to Bogota, they told me that I was hired to be in the studio. So after that, it just been almost 3 years working with Carlos, and a bunch of artists that I thought I was gonna try to like years to come to work with them. And in the first year, I got to work with all of them. So it was amazing. And so after that, it just pretty much history. And actually last year we won Latin Grammy with Carlos, and it was a very good surprise because at the end of the day, Carlos was, since I have memory, I've been listening to Carlos Vives' music. So 25 years later, I can say that I can be his right hand in his studio. So it was an amazing surprise.
Yeah.
such inspirational stories. You're inspiring me right now. What I want to ask you all now is, think back before you came to the LA Recording School, LA Recording Workshop. Where were you at in terms of what you wanted to do with your life, what you thought you could do with your life, what you would think you'd get out of the school? So kind of what was your headset when you were thinking of making a jump into this industry? Then what was it like while you were a student, and what was it like afterwards when your work started to make a difference? And I'd like to start with you, Nick, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Before I came to school here, I was DJing around Ontario, Canada, and doing small mini tours for no audiences, pretty much. And I really, really wanted to be a touring DJ. I really wanted to tour the world, see the world DJing, different clubs and whatever, and be in the spotlight, be the center of attention, have my own career, all this stuff. And then I came to school here, and the main reason I came to school was, the main reason I chose here was because I was looking for somewhere in Canada, and Canada offers absolutely nothing close to this. That we have, very small schools in Toronto, maybe a couple hundred students, stuff like that, but nothing as intense as this and as helpful as this was. And while I was in school here, I realized that I loved the songwriting process more than I loved sitting by myself making house music, which is what I was doing. I was making like disco house music by myself. And along the road of me being here, I did the full switch and didn't want to be an artist anymore, wanted to be completely behind the scenes, started doing sessions while I was living out here, moved back to Toronto, started doing more sessions, reaching out to more songwriters and more producers and collaborating in the back end and that kind of stuff. And now I've fallen in love with it, and now I always say I like too many different kinds of music to be my own artist. I like making too many different kinds of things and trying new things and being the underdog in new genres and stuff like that, that I wouldn't want to be locked into one thing. Yeah.
And did you ever think, whenever you were just starting out here, that you would get a certified single so quickly?
Never in a million years. Yeah, that was...
How does that feel?
I don't know, my dad still calls it a hobby.
Get a real job.
My dad's very traditional European guy. No, I think it's all been hard work, and I give a lot of credit to my brother, my manager, who always kept me pushing. And, even when I'm like, this is never going to work, I'm never going to be able to make it in this industry, he's always the one that's like, no, you're going to do it. It's going to be okay. I got you. I'm going to get you through this. And here we are with my first certification.
Fantastic. I know Daniel, yeah, give him a hand. I know, Daniel, your story is way different.
I don't know. Sorry.
I mean, you'd said that you came here because...
Yeah, because of a different student, Toshi Kasai.
Can I use my mic?
Hey. No, it works. Just hates my voice. Yeah, this dude, Toshi Kasai, he did a bunch of the Melvins albums, and he has a plaque actually next to Enrique's for the Foo Fighters, which I thought was cool because I haven't talked to him in years. So he said he came here, so I came here. But it's a different story with me a little bit because I ran my own commercial facility. It's a long story, but I obtained this commercial facility, and I ran it for 4 years before I came here. So I moved to LA to try not to be poor. Because Israel is a really small market, and everything you do will only achieve very little. Like, all right, so my band in Israel is gold certified, which means we sold 1,000 copies. Yeah, which means I made like $100. Yeah, okay, so it doesn't mean anything, so like, it doesn't matter. And then I actually remember the moment. I was like, every time you go to a show, you go to a studio, all the sound guys were just pissed off. And then I went to get my guitar amp fixed, and the guy who fixes the amps, he had like a whole stack of mix magazines, and all the engineers were just happy. They're just like laying on mixers, big mixers with AC rooms, and just looking happy. And I was like, I want that. So I just shut down everything and moved to the States. And honestly, I came to school for a visa so I can be here. That was the original plan. But the career department really definitely helped me a lot. A lot. Yeah. But it was mostly just like I really just wanted to be here and to try to do this. And I didn't think I'll ever end up in pop. That was a mistake or an accident, I guess. It happened by accident. Because I just figured like once you get kind of like cool credits and stuff, you can do whatever you want. But then you kind of get like in a lane, in LA, especially in LA. And I actually really love pop at this point, so I don't mind it at all.
You've learned to love it.
Yes, you find the art in everything. And like you said, I like all the genres.
Yeah.
And I still do weird stuff on the side for free for weird bands. It's fun. Yeah.
Fantastic. Andreas.
I think 3 years before high school, I started I started like at 12 or 13, learning a lot of guitar, and I was very inspired about that. And after that, I started to like realize how can I sound better. Like I didn't know how to do it, so I started like investigating about how to record with a laptop or with an adapter or something. And 2 years before high school, I was very decided that I wanted to do engineering. So, but I wanted to go more into score music, and to record pretty much the music of the movies. So I was very decided for that, and Lars was like the main opportunity for me, that I was here in LA, actually the capital of the music industry and all of that, the movies. So I thought, okay, I wanted a big university that could give me the opportunity of working with analog, with tape, with good microphones, with a lot of stuff, working with post-production, all that stuff. I like that. So for me, it was very, very clear that I wanted to do that. But along the way, everything changes a little bit. So yeah, like I didn't expect that everything was going to happen. When I got here, I just wanted to take advantage of time, because being an international student, you have very short time, and you're competing against a lot of people. So I was very deciding that I wanted to take crash courses of everything very fast and try to get an opportunity in the industry. And I did, but at the end of the day, I thought I was going to be here in LA for a long time, but it was not like that. And sometimes you expect that, sometimes the thing that you want most, it's going to happen. At the end of the day, it's not going to happen, but it's going to be better. So I got back to Mexico, and everything just pretty much just started exploding. So yeah, it's a little bit weird how everything happened, but it was a very good choice to do.
Great story. Enrique, your turn.
To me, I had a studio in Brazil as well, like a commercial studio, and like Daniel said, Brazil has a huge market, I think bigger than Israel, but my city was kind of small, so I kind of reached the ceiling very quick, and I wanted more. I didn't finish college, so I was like still like thinking about this, like my parents' pressure of like, you're not gonna do anything with your life. So I got this opportunity to, study something that I loved. It started with my band. I had a band, and I would start recording my band, and it was terrible. And I had this guy who was a big mentor. I remember my first recording, asking him for some advice, and he straight up told me, like, your preamps are bad, your microphone is terrible, and you don't know how to record. And I was like, yeah, he's right. So I was like, okay, go, I need to learn this. So it was like a combination of getting like a few like personal dreams, like finishing college, pursuing education, and working with music. Living outside Brazil, like living abroad, was something that I wanted to do. The original plan was to go to London, but I decided about LA because like how big the market it is here, and the weather. I don't think as a Brazilian I would survive that gloomy weather. And then when I came to school, it was definitely a challenge because I paid school with my money. As an international student, we don't get loans. We can't apply for a bunch of the financial aid stuff. So I paid school with the money I did engineering. So going back to become a student and calling my parents for money and like begging for like internships and jobs on places that I kind of felt that I already like I was like above that or beyond that, like what they could offer was kind of like a challenge, and then money, and then people, and then no infrastructure, and all that stuff was definitely a crazy, crazy challenge as a international student for sure. And then you get to this point where the visa expires, and then you have an OPT, which is a chance of working for a year, and then you only have 1 year to shine and make everything happen, and it's like, it has to be now, like Andres said, it's like you're running against the clock, and I don't know, it was insane. Like, I honestly, like, we all are ambitious people, and we dream big, otherwise we wouldn't be here, but I couldn't imagine that would be, the results would be this amazing.
Great.
Love it. So, yeah, give them a hand, absolutely. I feel that to be an artist, you need to have a vision and you need to have passion. This needs to be the thing that comes from here. It needs to be the thing that drives you. And then you need to know what you're doing. Because as has already been mentioned, the competition is so fierce that you have to be really good in terms of the technology. But the other thing that you need has to do with working with other people, and that requires networking, networking, and networking, but it also requires a work ethic and the way that you present yourself to the profession. So, Daniel, I'd like to start with you. What can you tell these students what they need to know in terms of what they need to know in addition to the technology in terms of being good at something? And maybe along the way, tell us if at any time you felt like just throwing the whole thing away and doing something else with your life.
I want to start with section B of the question. Yes. Weekly. Since day one. Actually, no, when I was doing it like punk bands and just getting really drunk and doing drugs and with my friends, and rent was like $100 a month, I thought it was great. But then the LA thing, like Enrique said, like first of all, you build up an ego because you're like, well, I'm the biggest fish in this small town. I'm amazing. And then you get to LA and they're like, be a janitor. And it hurts. It hurts. But it is what it is, all right? And then you do that shit, and then nobody ever guarantees you that you're not going to be a janitor at some point. So like after a few months of this shit, you're like, well, maybe I'm waiting for the bus, but it's a weekend and the buses are done at 8 or something, and I should just go home. This is ridiculous. It's over. So yeah, I think that a lot. I used to think that a lot. And as a freelancer, whenever it gets even slightly dry or calm, you're like, yeah, well, I got to go to school. I got to be a psychologist or an accountant. It's like, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. I have a little bit of money now. Nobody called in 3 days. Like suicide or school? Yeah, fine. So that's section B. If you have, if you're prone to nervous breakdowns, just choose a different profession. Like there's going to be so many, and like even without that stuff, like what he said about how to be in a studio. How to be in a studio is not to lose your shit. Just don't lose your temper. And it sounds easy, but I want to draw you a scenario that used to happen to me literally every night for 8 months. Okay, every night, 8 months. Used to go to work at about 7 p.m. The artist shows up at around midnight. Artist doesn't show up alone. He shows up with 45 people. They're all on all of the drugs and drinking lean and dripping stuff and sauces on all your gear, and like your shit's exploding and you're crying. And this happens every day, and you're trying to mix an album while people are trying to shout louder than the speaker to hear each other without moving across the room. So they're throwing stuff at you to make you turn down the speakers while you're trying to mix a song that they're yelling behind you to do. It's really hard to keep your cool. Really, 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 really hard, especially if it happens day after day after day after day. And you have to read the session. You have to read the people in there. Like some people, if you say anything, it's all over. You lose the bridge. But some people, if you don't, you're a little bitch. And then you lose the session because you're like, I don't want to work with this guy. He doesn't even stand for his own stuff. And like they're not going to take it as an excuse. Oh, why does my album sound bad? It's like, oh, because your boy kept yelling. It doesn't matter, you know, it's on the radio, it's over. So, yeah, actually, I'm going to go about it slightly differently. If you're going to be in a session and you think you're a good engineer and you have to think about anything in Pro Tools at all while you work, you're not a good engineer. You're not there yet. You're just not there yet. If like the technical parts of a normal session you're supposed to be able to do every day still are a thing you have to think about or not automatic, you still have to work. And like, don't expect and don't fill your ego to the point of like, I'm a freaking super professional, I went to school, blah, blah, blah. Like the people you're competing against can do this in their sleep. I had a friend when I first started, he said like, I was like, whoa, you can engineer high? He like was smoking a joint. And I was like, that's crazy, I get so slow. And he said literally, if you can't do this black out, you don't know how to do it. You're just not good enough. And then 95% of your concentration in a session should go to being cool. To being cool, to facilitate the artist, to make them feel comfortable, to actually pay attention to their takes and not the technical shit. Like pay attention to how they're singing, pay attention to what they're playing. An artist will rehire you if you freaking say like, hey, I think the third note on your bass riff was slightly like late, you're down to do it again. They're never insulted when they screw up, they're insulted when you don't pay attention. And you can't pay attention if you have to pay attention to Pro Tools, you just can't. You just can't. And that's why I really...
That's very true.
And that's why a really good assistant is awesome. And also that's why you can never trust any assistants. Because the really good ones are rare, but they're amazing. And if you are like turn into a really good assistant, you will turn into a really good engineer. And also you will get the opportunity faster, much faster. And what does a really good assistant do? He figures out what the microphones are supposed to sound like and not just that they work. He doesn't just check the lines, he makes sure the lines sound good. He asks the engineer what the hell he wants. Everybody works differently, don't just assume. Everybody hates, you know, an assumer. So don't do that, and that's just from the engineer standpoint. And then once the session shows up, I have stuff that artists always tell me that's the reason they hate assistants. A lot of artists hate assistants, just so you know. So like, which means half the sessions you assist, you don't get to go in the room because the artists hate the assistant they met before, and they're like, all assistants are terrible. So one thing they all say, assistant sits in the corner, stares at me the entire session, waiting for me to say something. Don't do that. Don't. It's creepy. Nobody likes it. Artist walks in with a shirt you like, don't be like, oh, I like your shirt. And then sit in the corner and stare at them for 12 hours. Like, nobody enjoys that. And that's what your boss will tell you to do. Just don't do it. So that's a big one. An artist is not always right. Don't be that person. But yes, you can do anything they ask. So like, feel free to like object and stuff if you think something is a terrible idea. But be aware that if you can't do literally anything they ask, then you're probably just not very good. Yeah. Yeah. What else? To be a good assistant, what's good studio etiquette? Oh yeah, never overstep the engineer, ever in front of a client. You can do whatever you want in the room if it's just the two of you. Engineers are friendly and they love assistants because we all were assistants, and you know, it's really fun. And a big part that I really like about this industry is that it feels like a competition in the beginning, like a really hardcore competition. But once you get into a studio and you get your own crew and stuff, it's very, everybody helps everybody a lot. And don't, when you're a runner, oh, that's important, yeah. When you're a runner, don't screw the other runners up, like over, just don't do it. You're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be assistant first. He's gonna be the CEO of Interscope, and you're gonna be cleaning toilets. Just don't do it. Be courteous, be cool, be nice. It's true for the sessions, it's true for outside the sessions. And remember that everybody's a person and not just like a brand or whatever you want them to be or your hero. It's just people. And treat them like people because that's what people want to be treated like. Okay, I'm done.
All right, you just heard something you normally don't hear in class, so I hope you understand how special that insight is. Andreas.
Okay, well, I think Daniel pretty much told everything about it. But yeah, I think everything, it has to be, you could be very good with mic placement or with, know about the studio, all that stuff. And it's very good actually, because at the end of the day you have to, it's important to say that you don't know it, so you can start knowing it about, and it's good, because sometimes you don't get the opportunity of knowing all the mics, or maybe knowing all the boards, or knowing about the patch base. So it's good to just ask and analyze the things so you can pretty much go forward. But at the end of the day, like Daniel's saying, like it's just pretty much attitude in the studio, because at the end of the day, you're working with people that are just being inspired by creativity. So if you're gonna be something that you're gonna be like obstructing that, it's not good. At the end of the day, you have to be something positive in the vibe, working or assisting, or pretty much you have to be very good attitude. Like, how are you? Like I was always saying to other people that it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, if you already have Latin Grammys or whatever. Feel free to ask the person, like, you want coffee? I'll get a coffee for you. Like, if you need something, I'll go for that. It doesn't matter if you don't put your ego in front. It doesn't matter if you have like Grammys, whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, in the studio, you're with the person, and your work is with them. Like, I'm working with you so you can be more inspired, and so you can have good vibes. It doesn't matter if you're doing a verse and it's like 1 hour, 2 hours in the verse. I know it's hard, and maybe you're tired, but keep on doing it, because at the end of the day, like Daniel told, people are grateful for that. And maybe you're gonna get to work with clients that are very shitty in some terms, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna be the only artist that you're gonna work. You're gonna work with a lot of people, and every people, it's an open door. One people can open 10 doors for you or something, so you have to be grateful for all of them. And I think for me, it was just pretty much attitude, and just being assistant. I think it's just, I think I learned that in Lars, is that, I don't remember what teacher told me that, but in the studio with, like, being an assistant, you have to try to be always 2 steps before the engineer and the artist. So you can pretty much like read their minds. So if they want a coffee, if they want something, if you need to go to the car for something for them, or if they need a tissue or something, that's just try to be prepared. You don't have to be in the cell phone or that stuff. That just pretty much that gets you pretty much nowhere in the industry. You have to be focused. You have to understand that you're in the studio. You have to make a promise to yourself that you have to work. It doesn't matter. It could be 1 hour. It could be just 24 hours. Just make it happen, because maybe that could make the whole difference in your career. You never know when you're gonna hit a Grammy. I didn't know that I was gonna hit 3 at the beginning when I was 26, and it was like I didn't ask for that, but it just came. So I'm grateful for that, but that's a continuity of the good actions and the good attitude, and by knowing your gear and all that stuff. Maybe you don't know everything, but sometimes it's not good to know everything. Sometimes you have to study more and all that stuff. But the attitude is the one that is going to give you always a little bit front, and more and more and more. So yeah, like Daniel said about all that stuff, it's pretty true, actually. It's pretty true, because at the end of the day, they're all people. It doesn't matter if it's Bruce Springsteen or Rihanna or Carlos or Natalia. They're good people that just want to do music. Like, they're not there to waste your time. At the end of the day, they're doing their job. So you have to support them in every way. So it's about working with other people. Go in the studio or in the film, animation, everything. It's about work team. So you have to be positive in every aspect, and always trying to support everybody. It doesn't matter if they're a little bit shitty, or they're a little bit boring or whatever. Try always to get them a little bit higher. It doesn't matter if they're an A&R, or if there's a manager, or the artist. Always try to make them better.
Wow, attitude is everything, and what Andreas just said not only works for the industry, I think it works in life too, in everything
sure.
that we do. Thank you very much for that. That was very moving. Enrique, you have anything? Oh, one other question, Andres. Is there any point in time where you felt like giving it all up?
Oh, sorry.
Quitting?
Not so much about that, but sometimes it gets a little bit hard, because sessions are a little bit hard, or maybe they're too long, or maybe you're not getting the progress that you want, or maybe to film or to something, but it hasn't hit me until right now, actually, that I want to do more. And I want to change, I want to transcend, I want to make something more in innovation. But I think that's normal, and that's different for every person. Actually it works different, because the industry in LA and the music industry in Latin America, they're totally different worlds. Actually, here it's more competition. It's a little bit the progress, the curve to get up, it's longer, so much longer. But in Latin America, it's more quicker, but you have to be more prepared. So, yeah, I think if I would stay here in LA, I think it would have been very hard for me because of the timings of the visa and all that stuff. Maybe for me in that moment, maybe I would say, okay, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna go to another career or something. But because I changed the way of thinking about, okay, it's not gonna work in LA, let's try another market. It doesn't matter. Like LA is awesome, but maybe sometimes it's not gonna work for you. So maybe you have to go to another part of the world, and maybe it's gonna change the whole perspective of your career.
You know, and good attitude keeps those negative things away,
Yeah.
isn't it? So there you go. It was a trick question.
2 positives, 1 negative.
Enrique, you have anything that you can add? Or
Oh yeah, no, sure. Definitely. I definitely, like Daniel said, I think it's a weekly thing of like, I took the wrong turn. I want to quit. I can't do this anymore. This is it. This is over. Like, that was fun. Yay. I'm going to tell my grandkids about this, but I can't. I just cannot anymore. And it's pretty cool because, like, we come here to share the good stories, the numbers, the certifications, the Grammys, and all that. But I remember with Daniel outside record plant and the sidewalk having this conversation, telling him, like, I'm done. This is it. I'm done. And he was like, hold, bro. Like, we are on the track. This is happening. I'm like, it's not. This is not happening. Like, the only thing that's happening is, like, I'm probably going to have to close the studio tonight. In that room, it's like a mess. And I'm going to have to clean it. And I'm never going to become anything else than this. And, yeah, you doubt yourself. And then things keep moving. And then I got the Bieber session. I was a part of the whole Purpose album. That was like 1 year and 8 months of work. And the day that I got to assist my first interaction with them, it was really funny. At the end of the day, I came to the front desk and they were like, "Were you in the room?" And I'm like, "Yeah, where else I was supposed to be?" And they said that Bieber had kicked out 5 assistants prior that I got the gig. So I didn't do anything special that day. Nobody asked me about Pro Tools, if I knew microphones or frequency compression. It was literally just like behave and be normal and let these people be comfortable to do their craft, to be themselves on a very like camera, right? Like I'm very shy in front of camera, and the microphone's just as frightening or worse than a camera. When you tell someone, you don't tell someone recording. Like, that's the most like vibe killing ever. Like, you kill the vibe. Like, people get like So I think like one of the most expensive things that we can carry like in this industry, it's like behave, like let people be and like know your place at that time. Like we all I start this wanting to be the producer, the owner of the record label. I want all to me. Like I think I'm the best thing ever. But in a session, when you're there as an assistant, like you just can't show this. There's literally no space for ego or for, you know. So there's a lot of like being humble and being patient and being respectful to the people that have achieved what you want to achieve, like, and understand that this is kind of like, I don't know, I'm not too religious, but like an entity, like you have to give, there's a sacrifice, you have to donate something, and that's respect hours and miserable hours and a lot of moments of doubts and all that stuff. But I'm pretty sure that what stays with the artist or the client, or how you want to call it, is the human interaction that happen. You know, like like Daniel said, you have to have the technical skills out of the way. No one really cares about that. That's only going to be a concern if it's a problem. You should be able to run Pro Tools and microphones and all this stuff what people are gonna feel and remember at the end of the day, if that was a cool day. Like if you are a decent person, if you are someone that they can relate and then can hang and all that stuff. So it's really hard. It's really like very abstract, but it's like, I think the most important thing, like this human interaction, like it's one of the most important things to anybody, like a record. I'm mixing a friend's record for free now. And he knows that I'm super busy and all this stuff. And supposedly he said that he's not going to be crazy about time with me and all this stuff. He is. He's on my guts. He wants the album and all. Because that moment, music, it's very important. And we put passion there. And it's a lot of energy and emotion. So the only thing that's really there, it's like this, like how my dream was crafted and shared and all that stuff. So get your technical skills together, but be cool. I think that's the advice.
Awesome, great. Nick, I know that your experience is a little different. Canada's probably slightly different world, and
Yeah, it's a little.
you're more on the producing side than on
Yeah.
the technical side, so let's hear your version of it.
I think one thing that's really nice to hear up here is that everyone feels the same as me, that we all want to quit a lot of the time. And it's a really serious thing that, like, I really do feel like that all the time. No, I'm just like, it's real. Like, and anyone who feels it always thinks that they're the only one feeling it. And it's really bad because of social media, whatever. Everyone. Yeah, that's what I think. I look on social media. I look at producers that are, who I think that are like kind of on the same level as me. And I'm like, oh, their lives are great. They're in the coolest sessions all the time. They're always making hits. Every song that they produce is getting released. All of this stuff, and I get so down on myself because I can see the list of unreleased songs that are just rotting on my computer and just thinking to myself, oh my God, all of this time, what am I doing wrong? You know what I mean? Like that's, and if I know we've all been kind of repeating that same theme right now, but if you're going to take away anything, just take away that everyone is feeling that. It's not just you. So, talk to someone about it, I guess. That's one thing I never did. I always like kind of held it in, and I was like, no, I can't let people know. Can't let people know. Because of social media. Yeah.
But remember, it's okay to quit.
It is okay to find something else if you truly aren't happy.
Yeah.
But you're wrong. You are happy. Stay in it. Keep going. Well,
I was always told the secret of success was not to quit.
yeah, exactly.
Don't quit.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're all here.
And if you're going to quit, at least quit every week.
Yeah. Quit and then rehire yourself.
Restart again.
What was the first part of the question?
About the things other than technology that you have to bring to the job.
Oh yeah.
Professionalism. How do you find that?
I think again, like everyone's been saying, as long as you're a good person, no one wants to get back in the studio with a shitty person. If you walk into a room and one guy has this huge ego and he's trying to boss you around, tell you, hey, do this, I'm gonna say, I'm not working with that guy again. Why would I ever want to get back in the studio with that person? I want to be in the studio with, people who respect me, people who I respect, and people who want to have fun, because that's what we all got into this to do, was to have fun making music. It wasn't to be serious and, have a battle of egos in the studio. And there's been countless sessions like that, and I've seen it happen. I've walked in and walked out of studio sessions like that. And you walk in, you see what's going on in that moment, and you're like, this isn't for me. I don't want it. I don't want to be any part of this ego, whatever it is. I'm going to leave. So, like everyone's been saying, if you're just a good person and you're just nice to people, people are going to want to work with you again. People are going to want to talk to you again. It's simple as that. It's a very, very simple answer. Be a good person. That's it.
Excellent advice. Okay. Why don't we go to the audience here and see if we have any questions? Okay, this hand went up first, so I'm actually going to hand you my mic.
Hi guys.
Hello.
My name is Ashna. I'm in the music production. Ashna. Yes. My question to you is, if you could go back and give your 2 year ago self that was in that building over there, any advice, aka advice to us now, what would you tell yourself?
Good
Do I go
question.
first?
Let's start with Andreas.
Can you reframe it again? Like I didn't get it.
If you could go back to when you were a student,
To a student here,
what
yeah.
advice would you give yourself?
Oh, perfect. Great question. Always move forward. That's the main key, and I still apply it nowadays. It's like never. It's good to go to different paths and all that stuff, but always keep going forward, because that's like it's like the gas or about yourself. Or I don't know how to say it, but it's try to inspire yourself. At the end of the day, you don't try to compete against the world. Always try to compete against yourself, because that's the only way that you're going to move forward and forward. So if something you don't like, okay, don't worry. Try to find different paths that you're going to like. So don't focus only like in one thing. And if that doesn't work, don't worry. Just try to go to different paths and always keep on moving. It doesn't matter if you're changing or whatever, but always try to go a little bit higher and higher and higher. And it's going to take you to very good places.
Great. Enrique?
I would say be aware of the relationships that you're making, especially because I think like it's really cool to have a resume, like to print a resume, to have a website, to get a business card. But none of the jobs I have, it's because of that. Like the real meaningful relationships that you're going to create are very personal. So if you know where you want to go, or if you know a studio that you want to work, or kind of like place that you want to be, try to move like he said, move forward, but move forward like towards the place that you already want to be. Even if that means being an intern or work for no money for a year like he did and I had to do and all that stuff. But the thing that will carry you or give you how do you say? Longevity?
Yeah.
Longevity. Yeah, it's the relationships, the meaningful relationships, more than like meeting someone in a bar or in a club. And it's like, hey, here's my business next car and all that. It works, but not as effective as being around the people that you want to be. So like, if you want to be on post, you should like start making this connection and leave this group of people and embrace this community, because most likely this will be the things that will put you where you want to be, kind of thing. Put yourself there already, kind of thing.
Great.
I like to think about that like if I was making an album, who would, if you were making an album, who would you call first? You're not going to call the guy at the coffee shop that gave you his business card. You're going to call your friends.
Yeah.
Who do I know that I want to hang out with? And that goes back to our point before, people want to hang out with good people. I think my one piece of advice is, if you ever think it's the end of the road, it's not. It's really not. There's always a way to keep going every single time. And again, just have fun with it. Simply, just have fun. I know it sounds very like cliche and short and like a short answer or whatever, but it's true. Just try and have fun with what you're doing. And I feel like when I was in school here, I was trying to take everything so seriously and really trying to be professional. And I can't, this is work. My work life and my life are different. And I need to be serious, and this needs to be a job. And it's not, this isn't a job. It's just
Yeah, but
fun.
don't tell the people out there it's not hard.
I know.
I mean, it is hard.
I
but
know.
it's not
It is-
hard.
no, it is-
That's
it is
that's
hard.
a trade secret.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with the way I dealt with those years, and I have actually nothing to say to old me. But I'm serious. Out of my whole life, it's the few years that I feel like I nailed. When I look back at them, I was like, yeah, I did everything exactly how I should have, but it was just a fluke. But the one thing I would say is that if I could choose somebody else to come back to the past and tell me advice, was like what Enrique just said, that would have been useful to me. So his advice is what I would wish I would get. But, yeah, but myself got nothing.
I just want to add something. Like at the end of the day, something that I don't remember who told me in Lars' program that try to in your class and your seminars and all that stuff. Like the people next to you, it could be the person that is going to give you maybe a job later on. And like for Daniel, and happened with him in Record Plan, it could be. So sometimes you just have to be network. Like I didn't know these incredible guys, and I just met them today, and maybe I can give them opportunities maybe in 6 months or maybe in 1 month. So at the end of the day, you have to help people grow, and that would be something that I don't think about only yourself. Try to think about others because at the end of the day, it's a community.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Andreas. You know, I was really impressed because Nick came in later today, but the three of the others, we all went to lunch today together, and I'm listening.
Thanks for the invite, guys. I'm just kidding.
I owe you one. I owe you more than one. And well, Enrique and Daniel have worked together a lot. Andreas never met them at all, but I listened to them talk like they'd known each other forever. And it's because they shared such common experience, but also because they shared the passion, they shared the care, they shared so much that it seemed like I felt so honored to be there, you know, because I felt like we were all friends and family. They'd known each other forever. And just really, I mean, some of these guys I know, and some of them I've just met. So it's been pretty an amazing experience. So
I want to add to that's also not surprising. I think it wasn't surprising for me. I'm sure it wasn't surprising for you or Enrique. Part of our job is to make friends with a room full of strangers immediately. It's literally the thing about this job. God damn it. but that's the thing about this job. So like when engineers meet each other and they're like all actually working engineers and stuff, there's never awkwardness. It's really easy. Our job is not to be awkward. And it's fun, yeah.
So we got some good advice there too, again. All right, we need another question. Actually, the guy in the black hat had his hand up first.
First thing I want to say is thanks for making the point of like you want to quit all the time, because I feel like it's really something nobody talks about. And I like when you said like I felt you on that of like I don't want anybody to know, but it is a constant thing. So it's just nice to hear people who are successful like say that out loud. But my question is, because you guys are all like successful in your own right, I'd be very interested to hear like what does your goals from here look like, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because after hearing you guys talk, it's like, how much more can you do? Or like,
So
where
much.
do you want to go? Like, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know if that's, it
Yeah.
sounded better in my head, but.
That makes perfect sense.
You know what I mean?
I like it.
Pretty
I think
good.
everyone got it. All right, let's start with Enrique. Let's start with you.
It's really funny because, yeah, like we all talk about the glories and the cool stuff, but the moment that I was nominated for the Grammys, I also became a producer on a Zane record. So at this very moment of my life, everything was just going amazing, right? Whew. Oh boy, that was so stressful, so insane. And then everything went well. I got the Grammys, the music got published, it's out. And then after that, there was that feeling, exactly what you said, like, I felt like I ran out of dreams. I was like, so what do you do now? It's just like, you know, I wanted to do this and that, and all right, we're here. So what's next? And then, I don't know, I think, like, to me, it was really cool because, like, those are markers and milestones and points that they're definitely really cool to have and clear out, and socially it's remarkable, it's awesome and all that stuff. But I think what's left now, it's like, I think like it's way cooler. We're free from the responsibility of making. Like, I've made it, like, right? There's some credits that shows that like at one point I was a decent professional in this industry. Hey, so now I think I can have fun. So I think that's the coolest part of it. Like, and try to remind myself every day why I signed up for this industry and go back to the music. And it's way better to deal with frustrations now for me now, at least. Like when things don't go right, it's like, cool. They were right at one point, so it's not right now in a minute. So I think that was really cool, at least in personal experience, to clear like this responsibility of like, you know, like you said, my dad, I think, only started considering that I had a career like when I started saying Bieber, and he could tell his friend this name is like, okay. But till then was like, are you gonna get a job and all this stuff? And there's that pressure, and there's internal pressure and all this stuff. So I don't know. It's great. It's really cool. Like you achieve those things. They don't mean nothing as far as like we don't get more jobs because we've done those things. It's easy the next one on a personal level. Like, I don't need to stress about this because we've done that and all those things. But they don't guarantee anything. So you still keep alive and with less responsibility, at least for me. Like, it's fun now. It's way more fun now than it was before. I was way more scared of the concept, like, am I right? Is this right? Should I do it? Should I keep investing on this? And now I have this validation of like, yeah, do it, whatever. If it works, works. No one's here to, you know, judge anymore.
I can't wait to get there.
Oh, yeah. It is fun.
Yeah.
If I don't quit next week.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think what I want to be next for me is, like I said, I once upon a time wanted to be the artist and just didn't have the patience to do social media and this and that and whatever. But I think the next step for me is, yes, I am a producer and songwriter first, but I want to have more of a hand in developing an artist from the ground up and really seeing someone from having absolutely no songs out and bringing them to their vision and giving them, you know, their dream and helping be a part of that and seeing something like that grow, seeing multiple of those grow. And that's what I really want to start focusing on now is, you know, finding an artist, finding a couple artists, building them up, and hopefully getting a Grammy like some of these guys.
First, I'm going to say something about the wanting to quit all the time stuff, because people, it seems to resonate with everybody.
This is the main theme of tonight.
So Dave Pensato once said, not that long ago, and he's Dave Pensato. He's got a TV show, got like 15 freaking Grammys. He's worked on everything you've ever heard. Just like, who'd you work with? Everybody in the Western world. Like ridiculous shit. And he said if the phone doesn't ring for 4 days, he's like, he pulls out the rope. It's like, it's over. It's done. And he's like, 70, which means he pulled out the rope like, 20 times a year since he was 19. It's insane, But the pressure stays real, for me at least. I don't know. Yeah. It stays real. Once it stops ringing, you're like, it's over. My 15 minutes of fame are done. So that's one thing. And part two is pretty much what he said, actually. I recently started working with Atlantic to do exactly that. So I'm an artist development consultant with Atlantic, which is like a part of the A&R team. When you do that, you find a kid who's talented and you develop the whole thing. You like build. With me, I like produce the songs with them and help write the songs and also choose outfits and freaking choose the director for the videos, like the whole thing, which is cool. And generally just getting, for me, being an assistant gives you zero power. You just do. And then when you start engineering, you feel like a screwdriver or something, that people use you to turn a screw. And you're like, this is the least creative experience of my life. And then you want to kill yourself. And then after a while, you make a decision in your head and you go, maybe people like my opinions and like my taste, not just the fact that I can Pro Tools. And then you start giving your opinion, and then people who like your opinions will hire you again, people who don't will not, and then after a while you'll find your people. Forgot the point of that. That's it.
Well, I think like for you, what is success? At the end of the day, for all of us, success, it could be very different. Like we all grow up in the industry always like like in social media, knowing like the famous people, and they have Grammys and they have I don't know, like Emmys or all that stuff. And it's obviously it's very passionate that you want to get that, and you're gonna get it. Don't worry about it. Maybe you don't know when, but you're gonna get it. But at the end of the day, like Enrique told, like if you get it one, it doesn't mean that you're gonna get everything in your life done, and everything's gonna be done. You have to always go forward and forward and forward. So, like I would say, like success for me, it would be like what is something that it's a balance. So if you're balanced with your life, what you want to do, like at the end of the day, if you don't get a Grammy or an award or something, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what makes you happy, what makes you sleep tight every day, that you're very like focused and peace, that's pretty much success. At the end of the day, you have to keep on going, be better always, but at the end of the day, maybe it's going to take you to another place. So yeah, like try to focus on yourself about being successful, but for yourself at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, an award, yeah, it gives you a little bit of more power of that you're a very good professional. But at the end of the day, an award, it just tells you that you're doing the right choices. That's pretty much it.
I remember the end of my point, sorry. Okay, so as I said, as an assistant, you don't have any power, and then as an engineer, you start by having no power, and then slowly you have a little bit of influence on the session. And for me, I've noticed that the more influence I have on the project, the happier I am. So first of all, for me, success is exactly what he said. And for me, that manifests in the moment where you don't want to kill yourself when you don't get the phone call. It's like when you balance everything, which I haven't never been able to do. But I feel like one day I'll feel balanced. Yeah. But aside from that, the pursuit of what to do next is the pursuit of essentially control for me. I just want more control over the final product and like more of my creative input to be in there always. Yeah.
You know, I want to tell you just a little story that kind of illustrates what you're saying. One of our inductees on Friday is a guy by the name of Brandon Trust, who's a cinematographer, and he's quite successful. He's been the director of photography on many TV shows. He worked on Barry. He's currently working on The Righteous Gemstones. He's won the best cinematographer at Sundance. He does all the Seth Rogen movies, okay? And I asked him that same question. I asked him, when did you feel like you really had made it? And he said, when we were sitting in a meeting, and one of the directors and the producers looked at me and said, what do you think about this? And he said, that's when I felt that I was there. So it works everywhere.
Totally.
So thank you for that. All right, so here you go. You're next.
Hi, my name is Sheba. Thank you guys so much. I have so many questions. I literally could ask like 5, but I'll just ask one. So my question is, I'm a music production student, and so if you could speak about the relationship you have. I mean, I know some of you are also producers and engineers, but if you could talk about what, how a music producer, what the etiquette is, what the relationship is between engineer and music producer when you're in these big studios, especially where you start off as like a runner and an assistant. We talked a little bit about the etiquette with artists, right? But like, what's the etiquette with producers and vice versa? Like, what can a producer do to make the session great? Also, like to make, to be like, not a jerk in the room.
Good question. You want to know?
I would like the answer.
Okay, I'll take it. Okay. It's easier to say what not to do. So the thing that'll make me hate a producer is if they walk in the room and they say a bunch of stuff that's just loud and wrong, which is very often. People with like ego issues will show up in a room and try to peacock up, and usually the words that come out of their mouth are so stupid that I will never ever respect them. Like it's over forever. Like I cannot forgive. It's done. And usually the same people will like belittle the engineer all the time and also like talk down to a lot. Like it's essentially what he said. It's those guys. The producers he hates, engineers hate them too. And the same goes for producers. Just don't be a dick. Like be cool and understand that the engineer, the engineer is trying to facilitate your crazy ideas, okay? And you and the artist is trying to facilitate your crazy ideas. So the producer is like, the guy that if he has an ego, it's all going to help. Just go, yeah. What was the second part of the question? No, right?
Yeah, yeah. At the end of the day, I think like you're going to a studio to do a work team at the end of the day. So you don't have to like, you're not going to a place just to give orders and that's it. Like just ask the engineer like, what is your input about this? Sometimes maybe that person is going to change the whole perspective of your head, of the single or whatever, and that makes the difference. At the end of the day, you have to work in teams. So if the producer has a big ego or something like that, the engineer is going to notice it at the end. So he's going to say, okay, do what you want, but at the end of the day, I can do better things for you, but if you don't want them, it's your choice.
I think that trust and respect is really important coming from both directions.
Yeah, it's a balance.
I mean, because in a creative collaboration, there has to be, you have to share the vision, and you have to share the passion, and even if it's somebody else's vision,
Yeah.
you need to buy into it, and you need to respect it, and you need to work towards it, and that's really what makes a professional. We just don't do the things we love. We learn to love the things that we do sometimes.
But to add to that, like, there's definitely two different worlds. Like, when we grow as an engineer, like, the journey of an engineer in the studio is definitely more shy. It's definitely more, like, technical and respectful, and you're, like, more contained than if you are a producer. Like, as a producer, you can be crazy and, like, jump on the credenza and, you know, do... like be very loud, yeah, and if that's the mood, set up that mood. But I think the producers, it's something that's been changed a lot with these things of like beat makers / producers. But as far as I know and understand from the documents from Record Plant, the producer is the client. It's the most important person in the room, more than the artist. And if you're an engineer, you actually, if you have a good producer, you're there to serve him. Like, he's the one that will say another take or save this take or mark this take or something like that. So you are working pretty much for that guy. And on a big studio, he's supposedly the one who booked that room. He picked the room because it has the vibe and all the stuff. So when you are a producer, you have way more freedom to be yourself, to be creative, to be funny, to be crazy and all that stuff. But if all that, it's still contained on something that is serving the session and that's enabling the artists to give their best, you're killing it. But I think a lot of the things that people are talking here, do not do this. I think it's like, don't be anxious. Like when we are anxious, we fuck it up, like pretty much like, you know, like, and the time will come, like the things you need to, you know, develop your craft and your relationships and all this stuff. So I think most of the time that I see people doing things that we don't like, or we just mentioned that don't do it, it's because they're insecure. They are, you know, they don't know how to behave. And like he said, I think the most expensive, the coolest thing is to have fun. If you can pass that to people and get the job done, that's the thing.
It's definitely not often that I'm in a session with an engineer. It's usually, you know, me at my home studio and the artist and maybe a couple writers, maybe another producer. But the situations when I have been in the studio with an engineer, whether I'm doing a camp or something like that, for me, I'm not, I walk into one of those studios and I just ask, okay, where's the auxiliary so I can plug in my laptop? And that's the truth, because I don't know how to use everything in the room. I don't know how to use anything in the room, you know? And I'm putting my full trust into the engineer and saying, okay, you know, you're going to work with me on this. You know which mic is best for this person's voice. You know which compressor is going to work better with their voice and with the mic together. And this and that. I don't know this stuff, you know? I'm here to write the lyrics with the artist and produce the song and this and that, and you know, kind of giving the reins to the engineer.
So I'm sure engineers love him. So just follow his advice. That's really nice.
I think I just like I said, just try and be respectful. Everyone's there to do a job. You know, he can clearly, you know, the engineer can clearly do his job better than I can do his job because he's working there. You know, if I could do it better, I'd be working there. You know, so like I don't know, everyone's got their job.
You know, I've seen a lot of our grads get in, like, to jobs that are, quote, over their heads. You know, they begin to go underwater. And the ones that seem to pull it off are the people that stop trying to control the situation and let people do their jobs. I find that's true in a lot of, it's certainly true in the television and film business as well.
People are there for a reason.
Yeah.
You know.
And they're probably very good at what they do. So don't be telling them what to do.
Exactly.
Because it makes you look like an insecure bitch.
That's right. That's what good leadership is. That's the beautiful, I think, to me, that's the beauty of creative collaboration, you know. When I see people that are in that sync, you know, that everyone's in the zone together and everyone's listening to that note and that beat and they're going, yeah, that's it. You know, I feel like that's magic. It is magical. I mean, it's spiritual. It's religious. And, you know, I wish our government could work as well as sometimes, you know, but we won't go there at all. Let's get another question.
Okay, actually, this comes right on time, and it's probably geared more towards Nick than the rest of you guys. No offense, because, right, you guys, congratulations. It's great news. So I'm a songwriter and like producer. I'm a musician. I don't really fit the card of an engineer all the way, even though I have the technical knowledge, I have the training, but I'm looking to do something more geared towards like playing instruments and writing lyrics type of. So what do you have for us songwriters and people who want to be producers?
Sorry if my answers are all simple, but I think it's just like, yeah, I think it's just keep writing. You know, it's a muscle. If you think about it, and you gotta work it out. You gotta work it out to get better. You gotta work it out to get stronger. Write with new people. You know, find events around wherever you are, whether it's LA or Nashville or wherever it is that you're from. Find other people just like you and write with as many of them as possible. No one's better than you. No one's worse than you. You know, you all get in a room. It's going to be a different song every single time, which is incredibly fun. You know, you never know what you're going to get out of it. Yeah, just keep doing it. Just like keep trying. Try new things every day. You know, search up new techniques online. Watch interviews with producers or songwriters or session musicians that you really respect. You know, pull up your 10 favorite songs, find the writers to those songs, and DM them on Instagram. You know, so if one of them replies, that's incredible. That's awesome. Hey, you want to get in the studio sometime? If they're like, hey, I'm super busy, but maybe send me some stuff. And then you can send them 10 of your favorite songs that you've ever written. And if they like one of them, you're in. You know, you're in with that person. You can get in the studio with them. It's just like, it's tedious and it's you know, kind of annoying to do sometimes, but you really have to do it. And I know it's tedious because I hate doing that stuff, but you know, you have to do it. It's the only way that you're gonna kind of level up and get to that, you know, where you want to be.
I feel that Enrique actually answered this question a while back when he was talking about relationships. You know, you need to surround yourself with people that compliment you and people that are serious and people that share your passion and grow together.
Yeah.
I mean, does that sound right? I'm not an expert on this, but that's kind of what I
No,
feel.
I think like adding to what he said, like improve yourself for sure. Like you said, like you want to learn an instrument or you keep digging and doing it. It's great. You have to be comfortable with your craft for sure. But one thing that I've learned in LA especially, it's like there's music that we make and we love and it's art sometimes. And there's the music industry. Like you have to divide your attention and your effort on selling this or in, you know, paving it to be sold at one point. And it's really hard. I don't know how, you know, percentage wise, but like it would be a waste of time that if you were a genius on your bedroom, and nobody knows that. So you got to put a huge effort on putting that out. So I think you have to find the balance between improving yourself as a songwriter and producer, and then making the right connections and finding the right spots, and finding the way of transforming that into a product kind of thing, not just art.
Yeah, try to think about it like try something, bring something new to the table. Always trying to be better yourself in your craft. Like, if you don't know drums, try to start learning drums or bass or something, and composing and all that stuff. And it's gonna keep you better because you're gonna start knowing other people that maybe don't know it. And if you know it, they're gonna say, "Hey, you know it, come here, try to work with me," and then that starts opening doors. So at the end of the day, just try to be better with your craft, and always network.
I think adding on to that, I think if you do try and bring something new every time to the table, it's not always going to be good though, and that's okay, because then you can figure it out what you can't do, what you can call other people to do. That creates the best collaborations when you know what your strengths are and you know what your shortcomings are. You know who you can who you need to bring into the room, and that's like what I think the traditional sense of a producer is they get the right people in the room together. And if you can learn to do that and bring the people into your circle that are going to complement you and you're going to complement them, you're going to have hits on hits on hits on hits on hits and have lots of fun.
He liked that one. He
Right?
liked that one. He gave it a double
Guaranteed.
Yeah, so actually, it's something that last week that I was talking to a Venezuelan producer and songwriter. He told me something very wise, that at the end of the day, for songwriters like you, every song, it's a new start. So if one song doesn't work, a new song, it's always going to be a new start. So try to see it that perspective, because like years ago, I was talking to the producers of one of the famous songs in the Latin industry, that was Despacito. And they got, at the end, they had to write like almost 300 or 500 songs to get to Despacito. And it's sometimes that you're never going to know that, but you have to always vision yourself that every song is going to be, maybe it's going to hit. If not, every song is always going to be a new start.
Do we have time for another question? How are we doing time-wise?
Yeah, it's 9.
Hmm?
It's 9.
It's 9? Okay, well, let's do one more question, and then we'll do a wrap-up.
She has 4 more questions.
Oh, actually, we have. Is your hand up?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here you go.
Oh, wait.
My question is really quick. I'm an artist and a songwriter, and I came with him, who's a graduate from the school. I was just seeing if you guys are open to like people pitching you songs and stuff.
150%.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Just checking. Just like trying to see, because in case we don't get to talk to all of you guys afterwards, like who's like a thumbs up? You're a thumbs up?
No, yeah.
Cool. Thumbs up.
Anytime.
Sweet. Awesome. That was it. Okay. I don't know if maybe he's...
It was going all the way over there, I think.
Okay.
How you doing? My name Mario.
Hi, Mario.
Mario.
Well, question was, what's your relationship with former students? Like, do you collab with them, or you find some of them not serious, or just you guys have like relationship with your former students?
Classmates?
Yeah, are you saying like student like?
I don't know.
Do they, or do they want to? Is that the question? Which one is it?
Oh.
No.
Have you?
To me, it was not something that it was like mandatory or happened. So like from my class, the class I graduate, I don't have much contact with my classmates, but then definitely you find people that were from here, and then the bond gets like, you straighten up. I met Daniel at Record Plant, who's now the president of the studio. It's another LA Recording School alumni.
Jeff Barnes.
Jeff Barnes, yeah. And then there's so many other like people at Record Plant or that has passed through Record Plant that are from here. And then when you said that, it becomes like this little hook that you can connect and talk more. But no, I don't really have a relationship with people from the school, but not because they didn't want. It was just natural, never happened. And but it's really cool to meet them along the road. That is really cool.
And of course, I'm the director of alumni relations, and my job well, even when I had other jobs, was to do my best to try to connect all the alums possible, because I've had a chance to see people who come into this institution with dreams, and oftentimes with a lot of skeptics around them. The real job people. Are you sure that you're not the kind of person that should do this? This is for other kinds of people. You should get a real job, And I've had a chance to see a certain passion and a certain fire, which is not necessarily what I come to see as the most talented person, but the person that's most driven by passion and willing to work hard. Because when you're doing the thing you love, it's hard, but that doesn't mean it's not fun. And you have to the things that are going to dissuade you to quit. That's why I asked that question. Because I have found a lot of people want to quit when it seems like things are not going their way. But if they can just get over that little hump and not say, I'm going back home to work in the family business, then something will happen. Folks, some of you have heard me say this before, that I don't believe in luck. I do not believe in luck whatsoever. There's no luck out there. What exists instead of luck? Well, luck exists when preparation meets opportunity. So you always have to keep in the game. Always be creating. Always be building relationships. Always network. Do all those things. And when you're starving and you think this is the stupidest idea you ever had, get over that hump. Keep that gratitude going. Keep that, that attitude going, okay? I'm just repeating what's been said here tonight. And don't quit. And you will have a life. You may not become rich and famous, but you will have a life that will be a happy life. And you'll be able to look back and say, it was crazy, but it sure is. It's been a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. Let's kind of go down the line. Let's start with Daniel, and maybe just give us a kind of a final eulogy here in terms of anything you want to say. Anything you want to say.
First,
last words.
I was pretty much a negative Nancy or a Debbie Downer earlier, but I want to add that I also feel, like you just said, that it is super fun. It's like this job is super fun. Like you do want to kill yourself like much more often than in other jobs, but it's like more bipolarity, I guess, because the good stuff is priceless. Like I have some memories that are, some are music, some are people that, they'll rival anything. Like they're freaking, I got some good stuff in here, and it's that's worth it to me. And like, my wife always says like, yo, whenever I get back from like a session, I'm just like giggly for a day. Like I always have a good time, even if it's a terrible session and everything collapsed. I find something that I just really liked. So I think it's really, really fun. It's just really scary and a very difficult thing to get into. But I wouldn't, I think, change anything in the past. I think it was cool. It's cool. Yeah.
Andres?
Well, I would say just be passionate about it. Like at the end of the day, we all have the same 24 hours every day. Just make it happen like as you want it. Obviously, you're gonna be afraid about a lot of stuff, but always, like for me, works a lot. Always trying to be positive about what you do. Maybe you're not gonna know about everything, but always try to find new ways of improving yourself and just going forward and knowing new people, because they can change your life forever. And just enjoy the moment, because at the end of the day, the session's over, and maybe that artist is never gonna come back, and it's normal. Sometimes it happens, but at the end of the day, you put a price, something value to that product, to that single, to that hit, or to that album, and at the end of the day, you can take your phone, you can hear it, and say, I did it. Like I'm part of that. Let's go for the next thing.
I think. I think we've had a pretty common theme here. I think last thing I want to say is you're not alone when you want to quit again. But I lost my point. Darn, I had it. I had it so
You're too
good.
young.
I had it in my head. Damn.
You're too young for that. I have an excuse
Yeah.
with all this gray hair.
I think, you asked for this, and this is your dream. Like, no, actually though, no, really, this is a dream. This is everyone who's here, everyone who attends this school, whether you're here, whether it's online. If you ever do feel like quitting, you asked for this. This is your dream. So don't quit on your dream. Yeah. I feel like I keep
Amen.
repeating myself.
Amen.
Sorry.
Really try.
We get to bring the house down here.
Oh boy. Sure, quit. I'm just kidding. No, I think we are motivated by passion. I think we are. Everybody that's here, it's like the main thing. It's to be happy doing this every day. Like, I think there's way more opportunities there that will grant you money straight up. Like, if that's what you're looking for. And stability and like vacation and health insurance, all that stuff. But knowing where you're gonna be next weekend. But we keep celebrating a bunch of things. We have Instagrams that we try to highlight with a bunch of things. But yeah, like he said, there's hundreds of songs running on your laptop. I've done many sessions. I've worked and wrote songs there, most likely, and are gonna go anywhere. And it's really fun to be here and sharing all this, but there's a lot of effort. We want to do, and we decide to do this. And it's not easy. It's not. It is joyful. It's amazing, but it's really hard. It consumes you in a crazy way, but it's undeniable. And yeah, like even though we share and we make it super glamorous, like a bunch of things, there are like moments of nothing, of no work, of like mistakes and wrong choices. I said no to Old Town Road this year. I was supposed to vocal produce that session, yeah, and I was busy with another session that's what success means to you, and I'm really voice and have fun. This is insane.
giving back to the school, and it's powerful, it's profound, and it's moving. And I'm so happy to be here. I am so happy and proud of all of you. So happy you're all here. It's been an amazing night. Thank you all for coming. Come back. Spread the word. I also want to pitch Wednesday plan to show the new name's Ariel Vroman, and we're going to be showing that movie here. And it's a movie that has real pertinence in terms of today's culture and conflict. It's about an Egyptian who saves Israel, okay, and other things. And we really would love for you to come. Also, we're going to be showing the short film that he made as a student 19 years ago, which starred a then unknown actor, just came across the pond from England, named Gerard Acting Job. And in it, he makes love to a camel, a live camel. You've got to see this movie. So please come back, 7 o'clock.
I'm changing my flight.
Once again, come back here to watch.
It kills him too. Oh, spoiler alert.
All that in a short film.
All right, absolutely. It's all about storytelling. Once again, thank you all for coming. Thank you all
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah,
What
thank
a
you for
great
having us.
night. And we'll be around for a little bit so you can come up and ask some other questions. Good night out there in online land.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.